Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the energy of invitation and why it is so different from the more conventional approach of persuasion and convincing that is built into our marketing. So most marketing, and I'm going to be kind here, most marketing is an attempt to convince a potential client of the appropriateness of your solution for their problem. It's very much focused on the pain and the relief of that pain. It's very logical, it's very psychological, and it is going to trigger a lot of lower emotions. So it's going to take people out of a space of sovereignty and inner authority and give them a sense of not really being sure what they want, what they need, and their inner wisdom is silenced. And it's actually, marketing is designed to destabilize people emotionally, because it's when people are in a unstable state that they're more likely to act. Now, the thing is that their expectations will go through the roof when they're in that state, because the more you push somebody down, the higher they need to rebound to feel the relief from the pain. So it's actually also reduces their capacity to act. It puts them in a very disadvantaged state. So which is why it's not an even thing. So conscious marketing is actually moving from a different place. It's about saying that the person that you are potentially going to support is empowered to listen to themselves. So you're asking somebody, when you're working from conscious marketing, to become centered, to drop into their own authority and listen to their own guidance. You're asking them to feel their way forward, feel the fit, rather than to analyze it and think it from a very logical point of view, which is very disconnected from their emotional drivers, but also their energetic drivers. So that conscious marketing is moving in a different way. It's actually saying, I give you the responsibility and the role of making this decision. I am simply going to present you with the pathway, and it's up to you. Now, that's quite a big shift, whether or not that's in terms of your practice or your thinking, or even some of the systems that you have. That's actually a big shift, because most of what we have had at our disposal has been designed to take away that authority. So you're asking people to listen to themselves and drop into that understanding of what they need and they want. So you're creating space for them to hear that. In general, what we tend to do, have tended to do with marketing, has been to try and reduce the amount of space, so that there's less time and opportunity for people to change their mind or look around for alternatives or stop and think about what's right for them. So by creating a bit of space, you instantly give people the ability to move towards or move away from something. And that has a great deal more integrity to it, and allows people to move into a relationship with you, if they choose to, that is on a completely different footing from that they would have had otherwise. They are empowered to move forward positively, because that's where they are coming from in the decision-making process, and their expectations will actually be probably lower, but because they're in this more balanced state, when they do move forward, they're going to feel the outcomes and the results of working with you much more quickly than they would have done if you'd put them into that disadvantaged state. So it's really positive. The relationships are stronger and more productive because you shift how you connect it, how you connect your messaging and your marketing to people, and your intention behind it. So how do you then work with this energy of invitation over this energy of manipulation? What does it take to shift from one dynamic into the other? The first step that you can take to make that happen in your business is to put aside any notions that you have about what people should do. Now, those will be potentially interwoven very subtly into what you're doing, because you won't necessarily have that mindset that you are expecting people to do something. But the tools that we've had at our disposal require people to, there's a level of conditional expectation that is wrapped up in the tools themselves. So put aside any notion of what people should do, because none of us like that expectation and that requirement being put upon us. And that's the first thing that we can weed out of our thinking and our messaging. The second thing that we can do is change our language from what people are being given, what people can take from something, to an offer. So if you think about when you give somebody something, you hand them an object, you will hand it, you will have quite a solid grip on that object until they take over control of it. So you know that it's been safely handed from you to them. So it's like, think of a baton in a relay race. There has to be a solid grip from one to the other. So that's a very specific energy. On the other hand, if you offer somebody something, you tend to do it with a completely open hand, so that how people pick it up, and even if they pick it up, is completely down to them. So it's a very different energy. So what you can do with your marketing is to actually think about it from everything that you write about, offering it with an open hand. It's an open invitation to take or not take. And there's no expectation on your behalf as to whether or not they do or they don't. It is completely open energetically. And that's key to maintaining this energy of invitation in everything that you do. The third thing that you can do is to be very intentional when you're creating your messaging, when you're producing offers, that you are going to allow people to use their own judgment and their own decision making, that they are not going to inadvertently, subconsciously use any triggers that are going to try and persuade or convince or take control of the decision-making process. And honestly, the way in which we've all been taught how to write a sales page for the sake of argument is around that convincing and that persuasion. It's about taking over decision-making skills. So if you are very intentional that that's not how you're going to do it, then you could have a lot more freedom to create a sales page for the sake of argument that is a more natural expression of what it is that you want to share. Because any constructed sales page is likely to distort that, because that's how we've been taught to do it. So when we're weeding this out, it's really important to be very intentional that that is not the approach that we're going to take. It makes a big difference in how you do it. So those three things will take you a long way towards having that sort of like open energy of invitation in your marketing. There is one step further that you can go, and that is to, and this is what I work on with my clients, is to create an energetic space which is filled with that energy of invitation, with that completely open offer of energy that you are taking out to people. And if you create within this space, and if you act within this space, so you're holding that energy, then it actually gets infused into everything that you do. And it makes a massive difference into how people receive what you share. You'll find that the responses that you might get less responses, but they will be deeper responses. They'll be more considered. There'll be a greater level of expectation of the next step. When somebody comes to you, they're coming to you ready to take action. They might have a few questions, but they're really just sort of looking to soothe that. They are actually ready to move forward. The quality of the response is completely different when you create in this energetic space. So that's the real sort of the thing that makes all the difference. You can make a significant change by simply being very intentional about your language, by with being very careful about how you think when you're creating something. That can make a huge difference. But the bit that really makes the difference and really has the impact on how people receive what you're sharing is to create that energetic space so that everything that you do is infused with that energy.